Hi folks, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Greg and this is All About Candles. I'm your self-proclaimed Canadian candle connoisseur. And today I have a review for you from Bath & Body Works. This is the good old-fashioned, tried and true Paris Cafe. I feel like this is definitely one of the more divisive candles in the Bath & Body Works lineup. People either kind of love it or hate it. I'm honestly, I'm honestly kind of in the middle about it. I like one every now and then. I like the fact that it's so strong, and I like it at a very specific point in my week. I like to light a Paris Cafe on like a Saturday or a Sunday morning when I crawl out of bed and I don't have any major plans right away. I'm just gonna spend the first 3 hours of my day drinking some coffee, puttering around my place, getting little odds and ends done. And I like to light this candle when I'm doing that. And so I pick one or two up every year. And it's always been something that I've liked a lot, but I'm not one of the diehard fans, and I'm also not one of the people that's like, get me out of here. I would say that this is the definition of a cloying fragrance. I mean, it is gotta be one of the strongest Bath & Body Works candles ever. For strength and throw, I feel like I would give Paris Cafe mostly a 10. Like, a lot of us use the 1 to 10 system to, rate the scent of candles. And I kind of feel like if you don't give Paris Cafe a 10, then what candles have you experienced that are a 10? However, this particular version that is probably still out on the floor right now was probably only like a 9 or an 8.5, and that is partially because of the way that it burned. Let's get into the fragrance first. The scent notes are rich roasted coffee, sugared brioche, and vanilla cream. And this is one of the most roastiest, toastiest candles that you will ever smell. It really does sort of evoke walking into, a cafe, and they are roasting those espresso beans to the point where they are almost burnt. In fact, there probably are a couple of burnt beans in there. Like, these beans are getting roasted, and this is a really, really deep, dark, rich, roasty, toasty espresso note. Yeah, and I do like it. I mean, I oscillate back and forth a little bit. Like, most of the time, by the time that I'm done a Paris Cafe candle, I am ready for it to have been done. And then a fair bit of time will pass by before I want to get another one, but I end up eventually wanting to get another one. And yeah, first and foremost, it's just that deep, dark, highly roasted espresso bean. And there is definitely a little bit of something creamy in the base. Vanilla creme is what they say. And a sugared brioche. I don't get a ton of like sugar from this, but there definitely is, maybe like a croissant in the oven or something. There's something a little bit starchy underneath, but you really do, I find, have to get your nose in it to get that. Because, I mean, man, that like rich, dark, roasted espresso bean is just so prominent. If you light a Paris Cafe, you need to be prepared for it to be a smell that lingers. It will be in your space for a while. One of my friends really likes Paris Cafe, and she says that she can smell it in her hair for the rest of the day after she's burned one of these candles. And so yeah, it's a strong, rich, roasted coffee fragrance. Not a ton of like depth and nuance to it, but it does what it does really, really well. Does that make sense? Now, to move on to performance, this particular iteration did not do well. And this did not get up to a 10 for strength and throw for me. This was probably around an 8.5 or a 9, which I would consider weak for a Paris Cafe. I burned it all the way down to the little wick nickels, but it was kind of a chore. It had thick ropey wicks. I would say that the first half of it performed fine, nice deep even wax pools, but from the midpoint all the way down, it was just puny tiny wicks, you know, barely any flame going on. And at one point, the wicks got so tiny that I did remove a little bit of wax, which is not something that I do very often. I consider that to be an absolute last resort, but after 2 or 3 burns of just no action happening, I kind of had to. I removed a little bit of wax and then it helped a little bit, but it didn't, it just didn't perform. The last half of the candle was just a bummer performance-wise. It really was, which I think is interesting. This had colored wax. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you might know that I'm colorblind. I'm not like black and white colorblind, but I can't tell you what color of wax this is. But colored wax and thick ropey wicks can often be a recipe for disaster at Bath & Body Works. And it's a shame that they changed it because this version came out last summer, I believe, or maybe the summer before, and it has the thin curling wicks, and this version performed so much better. This was a 10 for strength and throw. The thin curling wicks, they take a while to get going, and the first couple of burns took a while to pool out properly, but once it got going, it was just a beautiful burn from start to finish. So, you know, if you are looking around at semi-annual sale and you happen to see this version is still kicking around somewhere, which I don't think it will be, but maybe it will be. You never know at semi-annual sale. If you do happen to see this version out and about with the thin curly wicks, or the other white barn version that I think they're putting out in the States now, maybe, I'm not positive, but get this version over this version. I was actually at the store with my friend, the same friend who can smell Paris Cafe in her hair after she burns it. And she was gonna get this candle. And I said, no, girl, don't do it. I've got a much better version at home and I'll give it to you. And so that's what I've been saving this one for. I'm gonna get this one to my girlfriend pretty soon because I think she'll like that. This was a much better performer. This was a 10 for strength and throw, especially the mid burns here. Like, you cannot have any other fragrance trying to compete with this candle. If you're burning Paris Cafe, you're burning Paris Cafe. You know what I mean? Anywho, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you could hit me up with a like, comment, or a subscription, that would mean the world. And until next time, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.